Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Lyle, and this is NBA Weekly, the show where once a week, usually on Saturdays, but today it's Mondays for reasons I will explain later on. Once a week, I will talk about things that happened previously in the association and things I'm looking forward to in the coming week. The All-Star break, it threw off the schedule a little bit, but really I'm using that as an excuse because I haven't been paying attention to the NBA that much this week. Other stuff has been going on in my life. So that being said, let's talk about some of the biggest storylines from the previous week. The 2015 Hall of Fame finalists have been announced, including Dikembe Mutumbo, who I'm so happy to hear that he's going to go into the Hall of Fame because he's one of the guys that growing up he made me love the game of basketball. And Greg Popovich became just the 9th head coach in NBA history to have over 1,000 regular season wins. Only the second person to do it with one team, the other one being Jerry Sloan with the Jazz. And speaking of head coaches with over 1,000 wins, Karl will now be the new head coach of the Kings after the All-Star game. And it was announced last week, and then they fired the current head coach. So yeah, the Kings are now on their third coach this season, but I'm happy Karl's back in the league. I think he can do wonders with a big body like Cousins in the middle. I feel like he can get the best out of this roster. The Kings have a strong roster, but they're not a great team. And they're in the very stacked Western Conference. They're still not making the playoffs this year, but this helps them build towards the future. And then at the All-Star game, which I've never watched because I'm a defensive-minded guy. I watched it once when I was like 12, and I was told not to watch it because I wouldn't enjoy it. And I watched it. I did not enjoy it. It's a pickup game. And I like defense. I'd rather see a block than a dunk any day. So anyways, here are some of the top stories from the weekend. The Rising Stars Challenge, Andrew Wiggins was named MVP as the World Team defeated Team U.S.A. And I'm not going to say I called it, but if you go back and look at my previous videos, you will see that I clearly did call it. And then Kevin Hart won his 4th straight MVP in the Celebrity Game, which I've never actually looked at. Is it actually worth watching? Please, feel free to tell me. Then Team Bosh did what the Miami Heat could not do as they won their 3rd straight Shooting Stars competition. I had to throw a Heat joke in there, I just had to. Patrick Beverly, a defensive player who is only there as a substitute, won the skills competition. And then Stephen Curry broke a record by scoring 27 points to win the 3-point competition. The previous record was 25. And then Zach LaVine won the dunk competition, which, honestly, when that came on, I kept my TV on, but I was not actually paying attention to it. And then the All-Star game itself was very explosive. They went into halftime with the score already 83-82, and Russell Westbrook had an All-Star record with 27 points in the first half, hitting 11 of 15 field goals when only playing 11 minutes. He finished the game with 41 points, which was just one shy of Wilt Chamberlain's All-Star record, and he was named the MVP as the West wins 163-158. And now, a few games to look forward to in the coming week. The reason I was okay with doing this on Monday is because there are no games on Monday, or Tuesday, or Wednesday. The NBA will be back in action on Thursday. The first game back from the All-Star game will be Mavs at Thunder. Thunder still struggling, trying to get back into the playoff standings. They're facing a Mavs team that they're in the middle of that Wild West playoff race, and 1 or 2 losses could drop you 4 or 5 spots. Both of these teams, they're going to come out fighting, hope for a strong start to the second half of the season. So that one's going to be exciting, lots of sparks. And then you've got the Clippers at the Spurs. The defending champs continue their rodeo road trip. They're battling for 6th place because right now they are only half a game behind the Clippers for that number 6 spot. So a loss will definitely knock LA down to 7th seed if they lose here. But if the Mavs lose and the Clippers win, it would lift them up to the 5th place. And, it's the Wild West, I'm telling you. Every game matters. It's also the last meeting of the year between these teams, so the Spurs, they can win the season series, or the Clippers can grab an even split. Then on Friday, you've got the Raptors at the Hawks. The top two teams in the East face off for the last time in the regular season. The Raptors hoping to win the season series, which could potentially have some playoff implications depending on how strong they finish the season. The Hawks were hoping to grab a split. Yeah. Cavs at Wizards. You've got Cavs only half a game behind the Wizards for that number 4 seed. It seems like just a short while ago that the Wizards were number 2, and now potentially they could end up sliding all the way down to number 5. Wow. They split their meetings so far this season with the home team winning every time, but right now the Cavs look better than that franchise ever has before. And so the Wizards, as I've said, they've been sliding. And then you've also got the Rockets at the Mavs, division rivals, who as of right now only one game separates them in the standings. Rockets currently have a 2-0 season lead on the Mavs, who have a chance to this week. If they lose both of these games, they're falling down to 7. But if they win both of these games, they could climb all the way up into number 3. Wild Wild West, baby. Wild Wild West. Gem West. Desperado. And then, last but definitely not least, you've got the Spurs at the Warriors. Golden State has only lost 2 home games this season. One of those losses was to the Spurs, who can clinch the season series with a win here. So that's it for this edition of NBA Weekly. Tune in next week for another all-new edition. Until then, this has been The Fan Perspective. I'm your host, Nathan Lyle. Hope you had a good weekend. Enjoy the rest of your week. See you probably on Saturday.